right. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Jenny Romano, as you may have heard. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the Newsroom, and we're working on infrastructure for AI governance, specifically on provenance for text. We started looking at how to make content traceable down to the source in the media, and now scaling beyond the media into the space of AI governance. So the topic of today's conversation is something that is honestly very dear to me. It's something I spend a lot of time thinking about and talking about. And I am in excellent company. We have Guillermo, Inigo, and Inaki, sorry, and Jorge. I apologize. On stage today, and I think it's going to be an absolutely brilliant conversation. So let's start a little bit with the premise. So one sentence each. What is the shift that you are betting on in your respective areas of work that maybe people in this room have not fully grasped yet? What's going on? You want to start?
Yeah, I think we had a system that had a copyright answering what protected works, and then we had a trademark there to answer what protected brands, and now AI is forcing us to discuss how do we protect and who owns identity. I think that's the main shift we have.
Yeah. So at Mito, we are a multiplayer platform to create a video. And although today, like the product is very focused on creating content for advertising or entertainment, but video is evolving into something that is going to be an interface, a programmable interface into the digital world. That could be for simulating robotics, could be for education, could be for many other industries, not only entertainment or TV commercials. That is what comes to mind when people think about video.
Yeah, at CTAG, we are an technology advertising company, so we actually focus on monetizing some of these assets. So trying to understand where the best content is generated and how to provide the brands an opportunity to get the most out of that content, to engage with the consumers, focus on contextual advertising and real-time targeting.
And that's a very interesting trio that we have here, because you're looking at the same elements from very, very different perspectives. Looking at, for example, video creation. Now, the cost of creating anything, video, but anything else, is going dramatically down. When that happens, and it's not anymore the human craft that we're rewarding, what ends up having value in this new economy for all of you?
You go. Okay. No, I think that taste and craft is equally important. Actually, what you are doing is empowering all these creators to create content without having to rely on big budgets or being part of a big production company. Today, if you study filmmaking, for example, and you are 25 years old and you want to create a movie or a documentary, you need to be part of a studio, or you need to have a big brand, because you need camera people, you have lighting, you have music effects or sound effects, you need a studio, you have the camera, you have the lighting, you have the permits. So nobody's going to give you $2 million, $5 million, or $10 million to create a movie unless that you are already respected. With AI tools, what you can do is that if you have great ideas, you can go from idea to final product in about 2 weeks or 1 month, and spending only like $10,000 in tokens or $50,000 in tokens, but you don't have to rely on this waiting 10 years until you have a name and people want to make a bet on you. So actually, like, craft is more important, because the storytellers now, or like people with great ideas, now they are going to be empowered to create more content at scale, and actually that is going to create a second problem, that is the amount of content that is going to be created is going to multiply not by 10 or 100, but by 1,000 or 1,000,000. And then what is going to be important, that is your question. So I think that what is important there is distribution. So if you create that content, how do you reach out to people? And only a few platforms in the world can give you that distribution platform. It's true that with YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram, you can reach out big audiences, but still, like, if you are doing like serious content, you would like to be on Netflix, on Disney Plus, HBO, and Movistar, like many of these platforms that can help you reach millions of people in audiences. So,
Yeah, I think what was before, like movies were scarce. I think that's basically what you're saying, and music was scarce, books were scarce, but now they are very abundant. Everywhere you find, everybody's becoming a writer. I mean, it's easier to do movies. I mean, the quality you can always discuss, right? If the output is exactly what we're expecting, but still, there's one thing that it's scarce nowadays. Is let's say Taylor Swift. We don't really
Don't have many of those.
Yeah, you have one Taylor Swift, right? And because she's authentic, because the audience has built like a relationship with her throughout the years, because people trust that Taylor Swift is Taylor Swift. So I think now what is really important also to notice is that you have all this abundance of content, but also it's important for anyone like creating to understand who's your audience, how are you going to be authentic, and how are you going to reach it.
Yeah, I think this concept of the new scarcity, that's the key question. What is scarce now? What is valuable now? What's happened within the influencer kind of space is somehow similar, right? So suddenly everybody was able to create content and to become kind of a celebrity. And now every single young kid is trying to become an influencer. So the amount of people trying to get on the stage and get popular is massive. But still, there are only a few that actually make it, right?
Yeah.
What do they have? I don't know. I mean, what does like Maria Pombo, whatever, have that the others don't? It's super difficult to. I mean, you cannot analyze it, right? I mean, it's something that is very not tangible.
Yeah.
But there is something that makes a difference, right? The key question now, when like movie production or high quality video production is democratized, the question is what is going to stand up in that space, right?
Absolutely.
And I think the role of the platform again is going to be fundamental because they control the gates to the content. So let's see how this craft. I think there will be more democratization of the content and the economy, which is great. And more high-quality content as we had before.
Yeah, let me add to that, right? Because I think that is very important. What makes an influencer successful, and it's impossible to analyze. And it is true, right? Like if you think about Roblox, I was reading the other day that there are at least 1,000 creators on Roblox making $1 million, and at least 100 creators on Roblox making $7 million, right? And if you look at the content that they have on Roblox, it's not high quality, right? Like, but it's, for some reason, kids play those games, right?
Yeah.
And you have like 1,000 people making $1 million for them, not for Roblox, the platform, for them, and 100 making 7 million. And it's impossible to analyze because the quality of those games, I'm sure that you have, like some of you, they have friends or they have kids on Roblox. You see that and it's like, how is it possible that this game is making $10 million a year, right? So I think that is super challenging, but once you have it, it is very unique.
Yeah.
No?
No, and I think it's great that this democratization is happening, right? So like now everybody can become a movie director, right? And that's good for the society, that's good for the world.
And I think tapping into what you were mentioning now, maybe we should even redefine what quality is. Because if something works and people want it and engage with it and in the millions, then maybe quality is now changing, which
I don't think we need to define it. I think people will define it themselves, right? They will pick their choices, and that will set up the stage.
Yeah, like people say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Like you cannot define whether something is beautiful or not. It has to be the audience to decide whether that is beautiful or it has quality. Like this week, Bad Bunny is playing in Madrid, right? And it's 10 concerts in a row, completely full, like everyone talking about that. Then you ask many people, is this quality or not quality? The reality is that like the 600,000 tickets were sold immediately. And if you ask across everyone, like not many people would define that as high quality, but they are filling 500,000 people. And then you have like classic composers that they don't even fill a room like this, no?
Yeah, absolutely. And on the actually on the topic of again video generation, so the easier it gets to produce convincing content, the less easy it gets to actually know where that content comes from and whether we can trust it. But even regardless of trust, where it comes from. How are you navigating this? Are you building towards this? Are you building, like, how are you keeping this in your product roadmap and thinking around
I
it?
think for us now, thinking that getting a bit of what was discussed about like how it's easy to create now, right? But there's an issue of knowing where does these platforms and whatever you're using to create your content, where the source comes from, right? Where the material that was trained the platform comes from. Was it copyrighted? Was there a license for it? You know, and sometimes I discuss with some indie gaming studios, which they are sometimes in a hurry to develop something, and they have like, they're developing the NPCs, the concept of the game, and then they have this sky that they want to make beautiful and everything, and they just use an AI platform that they don't know exactly to have an output quickly and have this sky. And then the game can become successful in 1 or 2 years. And then when it becomes successful in Steam or something, that comes the lawsuits. Because they ask, okay, do you know how to source it? And it's difficult nowadays to do it. Yeah. So it's a complicated, like a difficult terrain we are as well for people who are starting, so they're more exposed. So you have to think about, okay, is this a path you want to take, a risk you want to take, right? Which sometimes is worth it if you don't have the access. But also, like, how can you develop maybe your own IP, your own proprietary information, your own material that you're going to be based on developing? Might be also a way. There are companies that are doing that pretty well. But also, I would say it's still like an uncharted territory, at least in the US. You don't know yet exactly where courts stand. Still, the value of this was all built by a legal fiction, right? That said that copyright was works, and trademark was this. So it is a territory that I think you're going to see a lot of things moving in the next months and years.
Yeah, no, I think we'll be able to monitor that with AI. I think the power of AI will enable that technology to make sure that the copycats are traced. But I think this is not a new problem, right? When we think about the web or the social networks, and this touches you a lot, right? On the web, at CTAC, we analyze millions of URL, millions of articles per minute, and most of them are very similar, right? If you get into the news today and you read 20 articles about the economic situation today, 80% of the information is the same. So what is that coming from? We don't know, right? But there is duplication, there is expansion, and I think it's not so much about what the source is. It goes back to the previous point. I think the key element is what makes it unique and trustable, right? So why we keep going to El Mundo or the New York Times is because it's unique and it's trustable, and I think that's what will differentiate good content from bad content.
Yeah. And let me add to that. At Mito, by the way, you can try that. It's mito.ai. And we give free credits to everyone that want to create an image, video, and then to create a film. For that, usually for a full movie, you have to pay for the tokens and the credits. But we operate the platform for creators. It could be agencies, movie production companies, freelancers, and so on. But we also provide the service. Actually, we have been working with major brands across Europe and a few companies in the US to creating TV campaigns. And some of our content has been on national TV, both in Spain and across Europe. Every time that we work with a big brand, they ask us to give kind of the logs of every step of the process, the creative process that we have used to create that piece of content. A TV commercial could be 30 seconds or 1 minute. They want to know what models you have used, what prompts you have to use, because if you are a big brand, if you are a Fortune 500 company, you are exposed to big lawsuits, and you want to have this data to explain what type of model was used. And why is this important, right? There are open source models. Nobody knows what data was used to train those ones. Were those Disney movies or like big production movies without paying any money, because you can take the movie and use that to train your open source model. And then the well-known models from Google, like right now, like there are 3 models that are like what everyone is using, including us. One is Seedance, that is part of TikTok. They have so much content from TikTok that they can train their models. The other one is the one from Google, because that they have YouTube, and from YouTube they can train their models. Surprisingly, Instagram doesn't have like a model yet. They use Black Forest. That is an open source company in Germany, valued at $3 billion. But people say that at some point they will have to launch their video model, and then there are a couple of others like Runway or Kling and so on. But people want to understand what model you are using. Why? Because the Chinese models, nobody knows. Like, they don't disclose what data they were using to create the model that you can use. Like, we are not scraping data, we are not training models, we are just orchestrating models from others, but people want to know what you are using. Like, probably you saw 2 months ago all these action short clips that was like, I think it was Brad Pitt fighting against Tom Cruise. Hyper realistic. Obviously, Tom Cruise was never with Brad Pitt, but you saw that and you were like, wow, this could be like a real movie. Probably you saw the one of Natalie Portman with Star Wars, like showing her breast. And so, by the way, like there is a lot of porn being created because the cost of creating that, like personalized to the audience, based on if you are visiting any porn site, they are going to track what you like, and then will create content targeted to what you like. I mean, it's incredible, right? Everything like with AI agents without a human creating that content. So actually, like there was a lot of controversy, like in February when TikTok launched this. Then they decided to step back and wait another 2 months to make the model available. And now they are limiting videos that can be created with, like basically like what you were saying, like they are running AI to see if in the video that you are creating there is any celebrity. They have a catalog of celebrities that they are
celebrities
tracking.
are a bit, there's like a run now to know how to protect themselves, right? Because they can license their likeness, their voice, everything on a normal setting, on a commercial setting to like companies, but also they don't control the deepfakes, right? That's happening online. And everybody seems like, everybody has a friend who has a photo of Brad Pitt now, like everybody has it, right? Kind of like, it's similar, or you can make songs with the voice of like a singer and everything.
Exactly.
So what we're seeing as well, it's attempts to protect it. Now you see like Matthew McConaughey trying to trademark his all right. You know, you have like...
11 laughs, no?
Yeah, he does it. And you saw also, I mean, again, Taylor Swift trademarking her likeness. I mean, will this be the answer? I don't know. I don't. Maybe they are brands. You can consider them brands. But I mean, but it's still like we still have to find a way to protect identities in this sphere. I don't think like, at least in a U.S. perspective. I mean, we're still not there. Still debate. I'm curious to see also about Europe, like if this is the AI Act kind of protects or not. But it's all intertwined. I think when you see these things, because you cannot do one thing without knowing the provenance, right?
Do you think we'll get to a point where I read about this crazy idea where you can kind of select the main actor of the movie that you're watching, or even put yourself as the main character? Like, hey, I want to be like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible.
I would say like before the product was the movie, right? And I mean, and the identity of the actors helped you promote the movie. Mm-hmm. Now what Hollywood is saying, it's like they have a data set of the actor's likeness, voice, looks, everything, and then you can license this. You can license this for a chat box. You can license it for a virtual companion, whatever.
Yeah.
You can even like. There's one thing that I think it's also like up to debate as well. It's you all know Val Kilmer from Top Gun. Mm-hmm. So he passed away recently, and his family licensed his persona to a movie that he didn't act on it. So he's going to appear on a movie without being like, without having a say. I mean, I don't think this is not even like an ownership aspect. This is about governance, right? What happens to you? I mean, in this with your persona, right?
We get into this creepy space of what happens after death. Yeah. We probably have seen Black Mirror and the episode where the girl kind of revived his husband. But yeah, I mean, now there is an opportunity to continue creating content after death, right?
Yeah.
So
and it's what you're saying, right? Like who has these data sets and the IP. So at Mito, we have collaborated with Telefónica Movistar and the Spanish Federation of Football. So last week we released the commercial for the World Cup, and some of the players of the national team in Spain, Lamine Yamal and others, Oyarzabal and others, were in the video, but it was a very complicated negotiation because the Federation and Telefónica Movistar had the rights, but they had to approve this, but it was not very clear whether you needed the approval of the players or not to appear in the video, and part of the scenes were AI generated. So it was a very long negotiation that we were not the ones that had to negotiate. We were more like Telefónica and the Spanish Federation with the players. It has been a big success. Now it's on TV everywhere, and then if you drive around Madrid, you'll see billboards with some of the images of the video, but it's a very complicated, it's a very fluid thing because nobody knows what you can use or not, right?
And who owns it? Like, I'm a player, I play for a team, I leave tomorrow, does my image come with me? Or is it something that stays with the team, and can they use it indefinitely? And we have a lawyer here.
I think that's mainly a question of contract and licensing, always,
Yeah.
right? But I think also, like, in terms of value, what does your identity has in terms of value? I think that's portable. So it doesn't depend on a platform. You bring to YouTube, you bring to a video game, you bring to whatever, it's going to come, VR, I don't know. But it's going to come with you, and during your lifetime, you're going to be in several places. And also after your lifetime, it's going to continue being there. And
I don't know if you guys know about a startup, a US startup called Delphi.
Yeah, of course.
It's a very interesting concept. I love it. They create kind of a humanoid, like a person that you can talk to. And I think it's a fascinating thing for, like, especially people that are working on services and they have a bottleneck on how many hours they have in their day. This is an opportunity to scale them up. And I test that out, and it's amazing. I mean, you can talk to an investor from Sequoia, you can talk to whatever the best nutritionist in the world, and that creates a more human connection compared to just going into ChatGPT and asking.
Absolutely.
So I think this concept of, like, expanding the personas goes beyond entertainment and video, as you said before, and gets into other aspects that are very, very useful, like even medicine, right? For health. You can talk to the best doctor in the world now, and you can actually chat every week to get follow-ups, and you don't need to wait like 3 months, right?
And you touched upon the AI Act earlier, and we talked about the need for traceability and attribution, et cetera, et cetera. Like, the AI Act is one of the first regulations in the world that is actually pushing for this. But at the same time, the market hasn't been demanding this as strongly as regulation. Do you see that as a good thing, as a bad thing, and how do we navigate this?
I think there's different perspectives, right? I mean, in the US, everybody wants to know who owns something. So, like, it's more like an ownership question there. So you're gonna know how you can create value. And I see Europe like more like trying to find like a transparency angle, right? Which I think I think as always the answer is something between both, right? You can have like you need to have like a system where you can have protections to develop like more and have incentives to create, right? But also like the good thing about the platform you mentioned is that you know you're speaking with a doctor that authorized it, right? You know that someone curated information is there. So you have all the threads that I think the AI Act wants, which is knowing who created, right? And what you're seeing.
And the value goes to the person,
Exactly.
right? Which is great, that we continue keeping that connection between the value creation and the value exchange, which is amazing. Yeah.
What do you think needs to exist, be it from a regulation perspective or culture, market, technology, you name it? What needs to exist for the asset economy to actually work in favor of the asset creators in this age? Because so far, like, AI has had a very big free ticket on the open internet, right? And now the world is completely shifting in the opposite direction. So what needs to exist for this to work in the way I think we all agree it's meant to work? 1 minute each.
Go ahead.
I think some basic IP protection in which there are some penalties in how you are using AI tools to leverage content from others, like if you are copying that, if you are making money. If you are not making money, I think that is going to be very challenging.
I'm going to take a little bit of a side road. I think we go back to the value creation. It's not so much about the protection. To me, the fundamental question is about value creation. And I think that we're talking about a lot about digitalization and content. I hope that there is also a shift toward more the physical world, in the same way that concert and festival became more popular when Spotify came in. I'm curious to see how the physical world is going to evolve into this new, like, democratization of content creation.
And do you think, I'm sorry, I'll come to you right after. Do you think they will exist in parallel, or will they complement each other in some way?
I hope they complement in the same way that Spotify is complementing the festival, right? So But to be honest, I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know if it's going to be more theater or more actors going into the presentation of the movie. So I don't know. But somehow the human element should come more into the experience, because now otherwise everything is going to be machine-based, right? So you're going to miss that human connection.
No, I fully agree with that, that people will be willing to pay much more for live events to
As
observe.
Bad Bunny showed. As Bad Bunny showed.
Exactly. But experiencing human imperfection, right? Because in the digital world, you can make everything perfect, but when you meet someone in person, in theater, in soccer, why soccer is so popular, actually people were saying that even bullfighting is coming back. No, because you see the emotions and you see, like people will pay for human imperfection.
And I think there's one aspect there is like, if you start tracing where everything comes from, start like putting a price for every use of anything that is copyrightable, you kind of like prevent, I think, this cultural transformation or just cultural building, which is amazing in our society nowadays, like meme creation. It's amazing. It's also good for whatever creators there, right? And also like fanfics. This is something also that creates community. You know, people are like playing with your IP and showing what they have and being creative. And I think there's a degree of permissionless that you need to allow people to play with it and make cultural kind of events.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think I really like what you said about the value of human imperfection, and I think that wants to be my takeaway. So what we're going to value in the future is not the perfection of the digital space, but the human imperfection and the human connection, which I guess is also why so many people gathered here today to actually be together in the same space.
That's a good example, yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I know we're out of time, and I know I cannot ask you people to ask questions, but we're going to be around. And thank you so much to the three of you for this lovely conversation.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.